water, earth, fire. These four elements help define nations, cities, towns, villages, all through the world's profound ability known as bending. This is the world building of Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. Let's address the biggest part of Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. Culture. Culture stems from the apes. Monkeys, humans, chimps, orangutans. It's because they all come to live together and they want to bond in some form of way. And humanity has many cultures. The creators of Avatar focused specifically on Eastern Asian cultures, such as the Japanese, Chinese, Tibetans, and many other cultures from East Asia. The only exception to this is the Eskimos and other Alaskan tribes. These nations were focused on, so the creators of Avatar could develop the nations of the world. And particularly, the Fire Nation was based off the Japanese and Chinese, the Earth being based off primarily Chinese, the Waterbenders being based off Eskimos and other Alaskan tribes, while the Airbenders were based on the Tibetan monks. The best way to see the cultural relation to these real-life counterparts of these nations is by looking at the architecture and also the attire that the characters are wearing in the show, such as the Airbenders wearing monk-like robes, while the Firebenders wear more kimono-like styled clothing like they do in Japan. The cultural inspirations don't stop with clothing and buildings. It continues with the hierarchical structure of these nations, such as the Fire Lord being representative of like a Japanese daimyo, while the Earth Nation has a secret kingdom, secret palace, where they're ruled from the shadows almost. The cultural differences and similarities don't end there, as Sokka himself is a good example of this, as his hairstyle, his weaponry, it is reminiscent of tribal weaponry, as he has a boomerang and a club that all have the tribal innuendo that roots from it. This also links to Aang, as he has a staff instead of a spear or something for defense. He just has a staff that he uses as like a tool rather than a weapon. We do notice a change between The Last Airbender and Korra, though. It's a cultural shift. As the world advanced, something changed. The question is, what changed? And why did it change? Let's talk about the cornerstone of the Avatar universe, bending. The people of the Avatar world use bending for a multitude of things, whether it's just life, work, or fighting. Just like culture, bending is heavily based off real-world inspirations, such as martial arts. Each bending takes inspiration from a different type of martial arts. Earth and fire taking inspiration from strands of Kung Fu, while water takes inspiration from Tai Chi, and airbending taking inspiration from another martial art that I know I would butcher the name of. Just as martial arts have different variations of the fighting style, bending also has variations of, well, bending, these being called subbendings. These subbendings takes inspiration from another bending entirely, as lava bending takes inspiration from water bending, as lava is molten rock. The same can be said for lightning bending, as it takes inspiration from air bending due to its air properties. In Korra, we see the subbendings become more popular, even though in The Last Airbender they're more status related rather than just being known by every individual. The question is, why did this occur? What led to this change? Moving on to the final and most important point that brings all of the other points together. Innovation in society. The viewer gets to witness something beautiful with The Legends of Korra and Avatar: The Last Airbender. The viewer gets to see the transition from the olden to the new. The first major transition seen by the viewer is with the cities, as the cities went from small villages with simple buildings to skyscrapers in Republic City. The viewer continues to observe changes in their society through their attire. We saw their old attire of the armor and whatnot, but now we get to see the new sleek armor presented by the Metalbenders and the new sleek attire worn by the average Joe. This change is observed again when we see the tradition of combat go from an Agni Kai to pro bending, from honor to a sport.
All hail Fire Lord Zuko!
To bring things to a conclusion, it is clear that bending, culture, and the innovations in society brought the whole Avatar series and the Legend of Korra series into a great harmonious creation. Without these pieces, the whole story would be completely different, and it is almost perfect the way it is.
Happy birthday, my son. If only I could have helped you. Leaves from the vine, falling so slow, like fragile, tiny shells drifting in the foam. Little soldier boy, come marching home. Brave soldier boy comes marching home.